He's the spacecraft commander. He's the one that's going to perform the manual flight operations once they do get on orbit. Have the crew named their ship yet? They did name it, but they didn't release what the name was going to be yet. So hopefully they release that today. We haven't seen it yet. Their suits are way better designed than NASA's older ones. I know they're very, very sleek, but they're serving a little bit of a different purpose. To me, like those black, the checkout crew there in the black SpaceX Ninja suits, those are pretty awesome.
Wow, so like the suits are actually much more than just garments. They actually connect directly into Dragon seats. As you can see there, those GSC seats or ground support equipment seats are essentially replicas of the seats that are inside of the Dragon spacecraft. And the seats provide communications through an umbilical, but also the ability to pressurize the suit if necessary. So right now what the suit team is doing is they're doing communications checks as well as a pressure check to make sure that the spacesuit can hold pressure in the event of a cabin depressurization emergency. This is the last time that we're going to do this check prior to the crew boarding Dragon, where we'll do it all again.
Yeah, they're going to have a checkout procedure. They're going to check links. That's in part of our events list that's here. They're going to have a lot of those checkout procedures when they actually get on and into the Crew Dragon capsule. So right now what's happening, they're suiting up, which actually happened way faster than I was expecting to see it. I was expecting that we weren't going to see this, or at least not this soon, but they're suited up and ready to go. They're not going to go out to the launch pad, or at least walk out of. Right now, they're in the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building, and they're going to walk out at like 1:11 p.m. is when they're going to move out there. What do I have here? My snacks for that was in my shot here. Didn't realize that was in the shot. But we've got some time before they get to it. Do we have a? Yeah, so this has music in it, so I'm not going to be able to play this because I don't own the rights to the music. But we can hang out and take a look at some views of Doug Hurley right here. So Doug flew on 2 space shuttle missions previously. He is the spacecraft commander for this mission. He previously flew on STS, I believe it's STS-127 and STS-135. The big one, STS-135, was the last space shuttle mission in 2011 with Space Shuttle Atlantis. So Doug has a very, very interesting claim to fame, which is that he was the pilot on the final space shuttle, and he's going to be the commander on the first Crew Dragon capsule. That's insane. That's crazy that he's going to get both of those distinctions, but how awesome is that for him that he's going to get those 2 distinctions? So they've been following. They were actually named astronauts for commercial crew like way back in 2015, and then their assignments came out a few years later. I can't remember exactly when that was. Might have been 2018, but that's when they actually got their assignments. But really, he didn't even know that he was going to be the first one, and that's Doug's wife right there, also an astronaut, which Mike Mongo mentioned when we were talking to him earlier. But yeah, both Doug and his wife are astronauts, and Bob and his wife are astronauts, which is crazy. So you can see they've got that suit up going on there. We'll go back to our overlay view with all the events here in a minute, but I want to make sure that you can see everything that's happening. But we are we're getting closer, and I'm surprised this is happening. So they will walk out of the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building. They're scheduled to do that at approximately 1:11 p.m. So that's in about 25 minutes from now is when they're supposed to leave. Now, also, President Trump is expected to go to the Neil Armstrong Operations Center, so we may see him at some points. I don't know, because the astronauts have been in a very, very tight quarantine, not just because of the pandemic. They're in a tight quarantine, pandemic or no pandemic. So they would quarantine the astronauts before any space flight, no matter what. But so my question, where I was getting was with President Trump coming, is he going to be allowed close to them because he hasn't been in the same quarantine that the astronauts and all the crew has been in? Not sure. We'll have to see if they show him when it comes to this. But he's expected to go to the Neil Armstrong Operations Center, or at least be in the building at 12:55, which is in about 10 minutes from now. So we may see him in about 10 minutes. But yeah, the astronauts, so a lot of people talking about coronavirus and the astronauts and things like that. This is probably one of the only ways that the astronauts have a little bit of a leg up on us when it comes to the coronavirus and quarantine, because they have to do this anyways. Even if coronavirus wasn't around, they would be quarantining themselves in preparation to go to the International Space Station, because they don't want to bring anything from Earth, any sort of illness with them, whether it's coronavirus or, even just getting sick from anything else. They don't want to bring that up to the International Space Station because they're limited in their medical capabilities at the International Space Station. It's not like you can be like, hey, I got to go to the hospital. I'm out. Can't do that if you're on the space station. So they have to be really, really careful. They also don't want to infect the entire space station crew. They're in very tight quarters. So they'd be going through quarantine anyways. But yeah, so they have been in quarantine. They've got a beach house down at Cape Canaveral that they kind of hang out at for the last couple of days. They've been there for the last week in preparation for this launch. They've been hanging out there. And then even the 2 weeks prior to that, they've been in quarantine now for 3 weeks in preparation for this. So it's been quite a while that they've been in quarantine. So there's our event list. Pull it back up here. The load up and head out, or walk out is I think what they technically call it. That's coming up soon. We're now a little more than 20 minutes away from when they will walk out and then start heading to the launch pad. And I still got music, so I can't play the music for you. I can't play this video, but you can certainly see it on NASA TV or SpaceX's webcast if you want to see this and actually hear the audio. No worries if you want to take a look at it, but come back. We're going to chat. We're going to look at weather in just a second here too. I just want to make sure you can see all of these fascinating things. A lot of this, there's a bunch of activities that are going to happen here now leading up to launch. So we've got suit up happening now, kind of awesome to see. You've got the walkout, that'll be pretty awesome to see. They'll drive to the launch pad. It's going to take them like 20 minutes to drive to the launch pad. Kind of crazy. So they'll drive to the launch pad, take them 20 minutes to get out there. They'll have to go up the service structure, across the crew access arm, ingress into the capsule, and then they'll close the hatch and the closeout crew will leave. And then they'll be on their own. We've got, let's see,